Example 1, solve for theta. And so I have this triangle here, theta, and then I got 6, 8, and 10. Now I've got a whole lot of different ideas, options here for how I can figure out what theta is. It doesn't really matter what one I choose. Notice sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, so 8 over 10, which I could reduce or not, doesn't really matter, but I'll just leave it alone, doesn't really matter. So notice then theta is equal to sine inverse of 8 over 10. So I try that on my calculator, pull up my calculator, let's do it in degrees. My calculator's in degrees. So I'm going to do inverse sine of 8 over 10. And this is not going to be a nice number. It's going to be kind of weird, but I'll just round to the nearest tenth, I'll say. So 53.1 degrees. Now notice what I could do, if I wanted to, I could have instead said, well, what's cosine of theta equal? Well, that's adjacent, so 6 over 10. So now if I go ahead and do this, solve this for theta, inverse cosine of 6 over 10, I should get the exact same answer. So let's just double check. Inverse cosine of 6 over 10. Notice I get the exact same thing, so approximately 53.1 degrees. Is there anything else you could think of that we could have done? Well, we could say tan of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent, so 8 over 6. So I could do theta is equal to inverse tangent of 8 over 6. And again, this should give me the same answer. So let's go ahead and do it. Inverse tangent 8 over 6. And notice I get the same answer. So really it doesn't matter which ratio you pick, whichever's easiest. So that's one example. Let's move on to the next example. Example 2, find the exact value of cosine of inverse sine of 4 over 5. Okay, so on this one, what we're going to have to do is we basically got to draw our triangle and then use the ratio from that. So notice if I draw my triangle, remember I could pick whichever angle. I could pick this angle here as my theta or this angle as my theta. It doesn't really matter. Let's pick this one as my theta. Now we have sine of theta. Inverse sine of 4/5 basically means that sine of theta equals 4/5, right? Those are kind of interchangeable. So I'm saying what angle, when I take the sine of it, gives me 4/5. That's how I'm thinking of it. So sine of theta equals 4/5. So I've got 4, 5, use the Pythagorean theorem, and I figure out that the remaining side is 3. So now if I want to figure out what cosine of theta is, so cosine of theta is equal to cosine of inverse sine of 4/5. Well, that's just going to be adjacent over hypotenuse, and I get my answer of 3/5.